Hello and welcome to this edition of the Mutual Fund Eye. My name is Vandita Shivle and I'm here to take up your queries. Well, today the query is coming from Ritesh Mathur from Bangalore, and his question is that what is the impact of Union Budget 2020 on mutual fund industry and how should he be investing in future? Alright Ritesh, let's try to answer your questions. Now there are a couple of changes which are proposed on two main areas. First, it's DDT, which is dividend distribution tax, and second is the tax structure, right? So we have a new tax regime in place. So let's try to understand DDT first. What are the changes that government has come up with? So now, earlier there was a DDT tax which was imposed on an investor whenever they go for a dividend based strategy. They wanted income in form of dividends. So now, yes, there's no DDT and we all were anticipating that, but now you will be this dividend income that you would receive, that will be taxed under your income slab. So whatever is your income slab, according to that you would be charged on that particular DDT, right, on that particular dividend, sorry, not DDT. So we need to understand couple of things here. We were thinking that we will there would be a change that there won't be any DDT. So that is a good news that there's no DDT, but there's a twist to it. Now you would be charged on that dividends that you would actually receive according to your income slab, and that will be again according to the new tax regime. So it is really beneficial for the investors whose income was around 7.5 lakhs per annum. So for, I would say, retail investors it's still an okay option, but for an HNI client, high net worth individual, I don't think dividend payout option would be very convenient. Why? Because earlier companies used to cut 15% of DDT in total and then distribute the income to the dividends to the investors. So up to 10 lakh of dividend they used to receive and there was no interest on that, right? But now that's not the case. Now the investors would be paid, would be taxed on that income what they're gonna receive according to their income slab. So I don't think it's a very convenient option. So my first suggestion to you, Ritesh, would be that you should avoid looking for dividend payout options and instead of that focus on growth oriented options, right? Because that's the best way going forward. Because now what is going to happen is if you're receiving dividends of 5,000, anything above 5,000, right, dividends, then there would be a 10% TDS also which will be charged on it or deducted from that. Why? Because they want to report it under your PAN. So everything would be reported now. So I feel transparency is good, but I think it's not a great option for investments now. When you're looking for regular income, this is not a choice for you. So I would say avoid that. This will be implemented in the next financial year, that is from 1st of April 2020. Not so till March you have the time, but from the next financial year this would be implemented. So that's one thing. So this is a new thing that has come in place, but I don't think it's a very great option, especially for HNI clients, high net worth individuals. No. Secondly, we have seen that the new tax regime is in place, and what the government has said is you can stay with the old tax regime and the new tax regime. It's your choice. You can opt for one. Now, what is the difference between the two tax regimes? See, in the old tax regime, the tax rates were higher, but there were exemptions. Certain exemptions were there. But in the new tax regime, the tax rates are lower, but there are no exemptions at all. And I don't know if you heard the budget properly or not, because Nirmala Sitharaman has hinted that all the exemptions may gradually be removed. So there are chances that your old tax systems will just wipe off. So you might see only new tax regime for now. See, what's in the mind of a government is right now if they say that your section 80C, you're off that, then automatically there will be a lot of panic in the market, right? Already there is. So now they don't want it. They don't want people to get in that panic mode, and just take certain steps. So what they are doing is they'll gradually remove it. So as an investor, you need to be cautious where to invest from now and how you should be investing. See, I believe that if you have put your money in housing loans, ULIPs and PPF, then you can stay with the old tax regime for now, because you get that exemption benefits, especially housing loans, because now I feel the housing sector is gonna go down. There's a very negative and a bearish view in the market for the housing space. So it's not very wise. Not many people would want to buy houses now, because earlier they were thinking that, you know, they'll get a tax break on the interest that they pay. But gradually that will be removed. So I don't think that's a very wise option. You can still stick with NPS option. NPS is the National Pension Scheme. If you opt for that, still you get the tax benefit. That is still intact, and government has not said that they would do changes to that part. So I would say you can stay invested in the NPS. That would be a good mode to stay with. In fact, you get that additional deduction benefit also, tax benefit, when you invest in NPS. So we might see that. Now, because of all these changes, there are a couple of sectors which will get affected, especially the housing space, because you'll see that the insurance industries, they will fall, especially the life insurance and the health insurance companies. Because you see, the time when you buy insurance and these people sell insurance is Feb and March, right? And they were attractive because of tax benefit. But now, because of the exemptions and stuff, these won't be that attractive anymore. And people would want to stay away from that. So we might see going ahead, insurance companies won't do very well. So I would say health insurance and life insurance would be two main sectors which would be affected the most by this particular regime and the policies that have come in place. Another thing is ELSS scheme. I don't think you should now think of if you have an ELSS scheme, stay with it. But if you do not have an ELSS scheme right now, because people were opting for ELSS scheme because of tax benefit options. So until and unless we get some more notifications from the government, I would say avoid investing in ELSS schemes, equity linked savings schemes for now. Just try to avoid that. But if you are already investing, stay with that plan according to the old tax regime, right? Stay with that, because it's a tax benefit option. So I think going ahead, we might see we might see outflows in ELSS schemes. I'm very sure on that front. In fact, all the tax saving FDs and all would be affected from now on. NPS, yes, we might see a huge we might see huge inflows in NPS, because national pension schemes would be the taxes. I mean, nothing has changed in why you invest in NPS. So I think you can opt for that. These changes would be from the next financial year. So remember, from financial year 2020 to financial year 21. Also, we might see housing finance companies going down, and of course banking sector would be affected from this, because not many people would go for loans, because now the interest that they pay, they won't get those kind of benefits. So people would not want to go for too much loans. But if we try to dig deeper and understand this, why government has come up with something like that? Because they want people to spend more. They don't want them to save more, right? Because if they are not saving more, they'll have more money. They can spend more. They'll have more money. Earlier they were saving a lot, and that's what I feel that the mindset of a government is. So we might see growth in the consumption area, because now people would have some freely available cash in their hand. So they might, we might see that the consumption sector, the fast moving consumer goods going up. So I think investing in those sectors now, especially the fast moving consumer segment side, would be a great option to go for. So I think that sector and that theme, if you could choose for like HUL, companies which have consumption stocks like HUL, Dabur, and those kind of things. So I think that would be a good way to go forward. And I think stay with growth oriented funds, because that will give you better benefits than opting for dividend payout options. So avoid that. And for now, I think that would have answered your query. All the very best. Don't worry. See, changes, the triggers, everything will happen in market. As I told you earlier, it's very obvious. But what we have to now see is that how can we mold ourselves and invest in instruments that can help us, get the benefits from this tax structure or this particular move that government has come up with. So let's work on that, and I'm sure that investing wisely, learning more would help you, because earlier people were going for a lot of dividend options and stuff like that, but I've always been against dividend option because that does impact your returns. So in a way, stay with growth oriented options, and secondly, try avoiding ELSS schemes for now. Do not invest too much over there. And thirdly, look for consumption space. Try to invest more in that sector. We might see changes in the next 6 months. Whatever I'm saying right now, we might see the effect of it in the next 6 months, because this tax regime will come in place only next financial year, which is from 1st of April 2020. So be wise on that front, and all the very best with your investments. Thank you.